What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? As with all of my videos, I'm going to be starting off for the next 2 months. Or at least I say all of most of them. I'm asking that all of you guys, I'm going to put the link in the description. Please visit a website and consider donating money to my alma mater, Bennett College. I just did a video about it. We are in desperate need, and I am not too proud to beg. It's the wonderful time of the year to give. It's the end of the year. You're looking for some tax write-offs, some last-minute donations. $5, $10, $20, anything is appreciated. Bennett is a historical black college, which is in trouble. And so I humbly ask for all and any donations. The link will be in the description box. It goes directly to Bennett. I'm not touching anything. The money is not for me in any way, shape, or form. And with that being said, let's talk about these housewives. So look, I'm not getting ready to go down the line of every little thing that went down in the second part of this reunion. They really could have made this reunion one part. I know they like to drag it out. I know they like to do a whole lot of this, that, and the other. But really the main drama of this season really came down to Leanne versus Brandy versus Deandra. And that was really the most of the conflict. The other stuff was just sort of collateral damage and people just hanging on to the storylines. So we talked about Carrie and her wanting to build a better relationship with her parents. She gave us a little bit and explained that it sounded like her personality just didn't mesh with her parents' personality. Sounds like her parents were probably very conservative. Carrie was a free spirit. She said that it didn't help with her getting naked on camera and the different things that went down. But I say, Carrie, you're a grown-ass woman with a child. Like, at this point, they are going to have to meet you where you are. You are no longer their child. You no longer have to seek their approval. I know you want it. We all want approval from our parents, but it's really at this point about building a relationship where we are now and a respect for each other. So I hope that they're able to do that. It sounds like it's still a really bad situation. She wasn't even really able to really do a whole lot of talking about it. Okay. Cameron and Deandra got into it over this whole society bullshit. Now, look, let me explain something to you guys. No, I'm not a part of any type of high society by any stretch of the imagination. However, I think in all cultures or whatever, we have a hierarchy. And so I get the whole Dallas society. You're in society. You're not in society. You're the black sheep of the family. You're not. Like, I get it. I always felt like Deandra and her mom were probably the on the outskirts of the Simmons family because her mother was a remarry, right? Deandra came in when she was 6 years old because the Simmons of Deandra was really her stepfather, and there's gonna always be that element of the family that's gonna kind of side eye the new girl. She's the new wife. You know what I mean? It's always that. He remarried. Because that's what people do in high society. Well, people do it in all society, but certainly in high society, we have that whole, what is this? That whole, remarried. And then, then Deandra says, well, Cameron, you married into it. And Cameron was like, well, stop acting like I came from the hood or something. Like, I came from I came from a very well-off family. Like, I grew up in Montecito. Like, so, and I think anybody could look at you for 5 minutes, Cameron, and know that you had a very cultured upbringing. Like, I don't think anybody would question that. But you're arguing over status. You're arguing over who's more in society than who isn't. Cameron, you allow your mother-in-law and your father to dictate to you how you act. And you're okay with that. Like, some people are cool with being told how to act. Some people are cool with being told what the expectation is and living in that expectation. Deandra lived her whole life with that umbrella over her as of the expectation of what a Simmons should act like. And at a certain point in her life, she said, you know what? I don't give a fuck anymore. And that's okay. But here's what we have to stop doing. We have to stop making it out like this is the end all be all, because it just ain't. Like, certain things, maybe because I'm not in it, so let me, But some things just not as serious as they once were. Like, this whole society and high end I just don't feel like it's as big as it once was. And I mean, we had it in the black community too. You had your Jack and Jills, and you had your high end and people that were in certain social circles and things of that nature. I ain't grew up in that. I mean, I ain't grow up in the hood, but I ain't grow up in the high society either. So it happens. It's not like it's just it's just one part of society, or it's what's the word I'm looking for? Oh shoot. That is limited to just Dallas high society or whatever. Like, it happens. Like, it's across the board. But I just, at one point Stephanie said, do y'all really hear yourselves? Like, we're arguing over who's more in society than the next person. Like, there are people that are homeless right now. Like, there are people that can't pay their bills, and we're arguing over who is more in society. But that's not fair either, really, because what's important to us is what's important to us. There are always bigger problems in the world. There are always more people that have more things to worry about, and it's important to them. So if it's important to Deandra and her family, and Cameron and her family, then it is what it is. But at the end of the day, no one is any more in society than the other, I think, is really what the bottom line is, or what should be the bottom line to this. Like, nobody's any more into high society than the next person. With all of that being said, there really was no resolution there. Cameron said that she thought her and Deandra were cool because they hung out together a couple of times since the show. Deandra is acting like she don't really have nothing for Cameron. Deandra, I really liked Deandra last season, but this season she seemed to be really bitter. Like, she seemed to be really, I don't know. Anyway, so then the next thing we talked about Copenhagen, and we talked about Brandy and the cell phone. That is how much I give a fuck about that cell phone. Brandy said she didn't steal the cell phone. She said that if she had stole the cell phone, she'd have brought the shit back to America, and she would have broken to it. And she would have, she was like, if I really was that concerned about her holding on to the video, and if I had stolen the phone, I wouldn't have given it back. Valid point. If she was really that concerned about you stealing, she was like, I didn't get into the phone because she has she has facial recognition on her phone. I couldn't get into her phone. And, if I was that concerned about getting into her phone, I would have bought it back, and I would have found somebody that could have gotten to the phone, which we know people can get into anything. Well, not anything, but you know what I'm saying. The other thing was, Bravo Andy sort of played devil's advocate on both sides. He said to Brandy, he said, look, there were film crew around, there were people taking video. Why were you so concerned about the video being taken when you know it was going to be on the show, And she said, because it was Leanne. Like, I didn't want Leanne videotaping me because I didn't trust what Leanne would do with the video. Now, that's sad that you trust a bunch of cameramen that you don't even know over Leanne. That's a sad state of affairs. And then what we didn't know was that Carrie's family asked that they not do any filming or videotaping. Because, again, the difference is, that on the TV show it's going to be edited. They're going to blur out the stuff that ain't supposed to be seen. They're going to edit certain things. Versus, I'm taking a picture with my camera. I have the unedited version, and I can do whatever the hell I want to do with it. So that's a valid point, like, from both sides of the coin. And then the other side of the coin that Bravo Andy asked Leanne was, why did you feel the need to videotape it? Because it is on video. It's going to be on the show. They will have their own, they'll have it. They don't need you to videotape it for them. And she said, well, because then they would have the unedited version. Ding, ding, ding. That's the reason why they didn't want your ass videotaping, because you would have an unedited version. What else did we talk about? Oh, Deandra and Leanne. Let's just go there. Because that's really what it boiled down to. At the end of the day, Deandra, you were doing too much. And she sent out a tweet today basically saying she would have handled things differently. Looking back on the show, she made some bad decisions and she would have handled things differently. So with that being said, she sort of dug her heels in at the reunion when people said to her, do you not see, when she brought up the whole, and what I really love Stephanie, because Stephanie really was coming into her own, and she admitted her shit, and she called people out on theirs, and she said to Deandra, she said, Deandra, when you said in your confessional about Leanne's fiance cheating on her, she said, you should have gone to Leanne first. That's not something that Leanne should have heard for the first time in your confessional. She said, had that been me, had you done that to me, I would have been so hurt and I would have felt so betrayed. She said, and had I done it to you, you would have felt the same way. I said, you better go ahead, Stephanie. Because, see, Stephanie's at that point now where you my friend, but I'm going to call you on your shit. And I can respect it. And Deandra just didn't seem to understand it. Like, she wouldn't. She was like, but that's what I was told. I'm just telling the truth. See, people hide behind that. I'm just telling the truth shit. Telling the truth doesn't mean you have to tell the truth. Because you know the truth doesn't mean you have to share the truth. Now, whether Rich cheated on Leanne or not, what Stephanie is saying is, you owed it to Leanne, the person you claim was your best friend. You owed it to Leanne to take it to her first before you took it to us. I shouldn't be hearing about it at the same time Leanne is hearing about it. I don't even know Leanne. Leanne's supposed to be your best friend. That's the point that Stephanie was making, and you fucking knew that. And then Cameron said, do you not understand how you're losing everybody's trust right now? Because if this is how you treat the person you claim is your best friend, how are you going to treat the rest of us? And then she went on to talk about how she knows that, first she said that she didn't know if Rich cheated on Leanne. Then she said, well, I do know that he's cheated in the past because both of his ex-wives told me. Again, didn't need to be said. It didn't need to be said. Leanne has been with this man for 8 years. If you had any misgiving, or 10 years, how long they've been together, if you had any misgivings about him, if you had any question mark about him, if you had any feeling or belief that this man was not who he said he was, you had 10 whole years to talk to your best friend about it. You wait until now, and you wait to do it on a public platform. Deandra, you were wrong. You were wrong. Now, Leanne was wrong with the alcohol thing. Leanne was wrong to talk about you and your high society piece. Leanne was wrong talking about who you should and shouldn't be friends with. She was definitely wrong for talking about how much money you had in your bank account. Absolutely, she was wrong about all of those things. But you were wrong too. Both y'all hit below the belt. And then they brought out Mama D. And people kept making some low blow comments about Deandra's relationship with her mom too, which I felt were not necessarily fair. I don't think it was necessarily fair, some of the things they said about Deandra and her relationship with her mom. They kept saying she was her mother's puppet, and because they said that Cameron was her mother-in-law's puppet, and she said, well, you're your mom's puppet. And I think, again, there's a thin line between respecting your elders and being a puppet for your elders. Deandra put herself in a really precarious situation, which she admitted that she went into business with her mom, and she allowed her mother to basically buy out her company. So the company that she started on her own, probably with her mother's money, but she started it, she no longer had any any power or control over. So when she wanted to separate from her mother, that was going to be a whole big legal battle, because she basically did not own that company anymore. She had sold it or let her mom envelop it into the bigger corporation. So there's a thin line between respect, maintaining relationships, and being a puppet. But Mama D came out, and basically what Mama D said was, look, Leanne, I love you. I have always loved you. I've always loved you in my daughter's relationship. Deandra, the two of y'all need to work this out, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to try to work it out so you guys can build your friendship back, because I think you guys are great friends, and I think you guys need to figure it out. Boom. Boom. And then Bravo Andy says, well, would you be willing to allow Mama D to help you guys? And Leanne said something that was very valid. She said, I think we would be better off going to a mutual party and going to friends therapy or counseling with a y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody that don't have no skin in the game. Shoot. My words are just leaving me tonight. And I agree. But overall, the second part is like I said, they could have just balled it up into one part. They ain't had to split this thing up. It wasn't that much there to split up. But it was a decent season. Dallas is not one of the more bang for your buck franchises of Real Housewives, but I like Dallas. I do. It's a different city that you don't really have any preconceived notions about. Like, I've learned a lot about Dallas watching this show. I didn't know about all this high society and charity world and all this shit. And if I lived in Dallas, I probably still wouldn't know. But anyway, that's pretty much what it was giving us this week with the reunion. And we will catch y'all next season. Peace.